Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday, June the 20th. We've just crossed the 8 o'clock mark here in the Augusta area and beyond. Of course, we are talking about our top headlines. First though, let's take a quick peek at the weather. Tim so kindly left for us. Hang on. Okay, here's what we're looking at. A little bit of rain in the southeastern portion of the area this morning. So if you're out there, just kind of be aware of that, and we're tracking rain a lot of this week. So it's not going to be the most pleasant week out there, but hopefully it's not too bad. And, we're able to have all that outdoor activity fun that we like. Okay, let's take a look at top headlines. Before we do, though, again, be sure to download our WRDW streaming app and subscribe to our WRDW YouTube channel. That'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on in and around the area. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Not a whole lot to talk about today, just because we only had a 6 and an 11 o'clock show last night. It's not a whole lot of content to recap, but yesterday was a big day. It was Juneteenth. The downtown Augusta Juneteenth Festival finished up last night around 9 o'clock. Monday marked the time enslaved people in Texas learned they were free months after the Civil War ended. As Nick Veland shows us, the city of Augusta celebrated the holiday with a festival that doubled the number of vendors from last year.
You hear music. On this music, it talks about unity. The smell, you smell the seasons of food, home.
The different foods. We like to try out different stuff. Some of these vendors I've never heard of.
The atmosphere is just joyous right now.
And it's a very great festival. Everybody's enjoying themselves. It's very nice.
It's a great vibe.
The celebration continuing to grow with the number of vendors doubling from the last year.
We come together this time of year to just be grateful and be thankful that God has allowed us now to have a voice, to have access to the world.
A celebration across generations.
It's good to be able to teach them, for them to start learning something different, something new. They didn't know very much about Juneteenth before this, actually. So I've been trying to explain a little bit to them, but we're excited about learning.
The weather canceled the live performances, but not the day.
And this rain, it comes and goes, but it feels good. I mean, it's not too hot. The rain is keeping it cool, but it's here. But sometimes when you're enjoying yourself, you don't even notice the rain, man.
So the Band of Brothers had to cancel the live performances that they were having yesterday. They are going to reschedule those. They say they didn't have a date announced yet, but we will let you know when they do decide when that's going to be. As for Aiken County, the Center for African American History, Arts, and Culture opened up its doors for tours to celebrate, and the center hosts a paint and sip today at 6 o'clock. Tickets are $45 for supplies and wine, and you can check out our website to see our Juneteenth activities list growing all week long. This isn't just a one-day thing. They're going to be doing this for the entire week, so you can check that out up on the website. And the day marks, like I said, when enslaved people in Galveston, Texas found out they were free. Celebrations going on in Augusta and Aiken. Craig Allison had the latest from the Augusta Common yesterday.
That's right, y'all. Unfortunately, all live performances are put on hold until the rain or the weather just becomes a bit more predictable. It's been on and off out here today, but that hasn't put down the mood for anyone. We're here at the border of where streets are blocked off on Broad all the way up here on 10th. Cop cars are still blocking off this intersection, and people are still hitting up these vendors, 150 which in and near and far and out of town. From homegrown first-timers fundraising for a brighter future.
So for the past 11 years, we've been trying to keep the youth off the streets and out of trouble by giving them free drama classes.
To out-of-towners coming to the Garden City for the first time.
I mean, Augusta was just the perfect place to expand, you know what I'm saying? It's not a big city, so it's plenty of people with plenty of competition around here.
Everyone is here for the same message.
I love to shout out the brothers and the sisters, you know what I'm saying? The kings and the queens. We all a part of the community, and we do mean something around here. So I would love to just bring us up as a whole and then come together.
It's Augusta's 7th annual commemoration and celebration of the day slaves in Galveston, Texas found out they were free. Months after the Civil War ended. Now in its second year of being a federal holiday, it's the first year the Band of Brothers are receiving city funding to support this local event. $20,000 plus $3,500 for security fees. Unfortunately, rain has pushed all the live performances to another day, which is where most of the new funding was going to bring in bigger artists that bring in more people.
For safety reasons, because at any given time, you don't know what Mother Nature will do. You know, when you're dealing with major recording artists or major actual, musical artists, you have to see what their schedule is, see what the city availability of venue is and things of that nature.
Despite the rain, they say it's still Jubilee.
I think it's gonna be a pretty good turnout. I love to see all these beautiful faces out here, so I'm glad we all smiling, having a good time, music playing.
I just want everybody to just come on out and support.
And that's right, y'all. We've got double the vendor count from this year, 75 about, going into 150 into this year. We're still waiting for an update from Band of Brothers on which night, that those performances will be rescheduled for, but we'll continue to keep you up to date on that. In Augusta, Craig Allison on your side.
Okay, thanks for that, Craig. Juneteenth celebrations out in Aiken as well. The Center for African American History, Art, and Culture opened their doors to the community for a week-long celebration. Organizers tell our Alyssa Lyons events like these serve as a reminder how much we can all learn about history.
The building that houses the Center for African American History, Art, and Culture is almost as old as the day that we now know as a federal holiday. It was built back in the late 1800s. Today, the writing on the door says we're open. On the walls, it says remember.
Well, all pictures, that's what they do. It does tell a story.
Single stitches woven in time.
We definitely was spiritual people.
To tell the stories of those before.
That's beautiful. That's what I need, serenity. Let it go. Oh my God.
To those now.
This is all so much to me because I'm not from here.
Juneteenth is a day Catherine Isaac circles.
I'm just glad that they have a space for us to come and know our heritage, and we need to learn our culture. We need to be more proactive in learning for ourselves, because nobody's going to tell us. We have to get that for ourselves.
I hope that people carry the spirit of freedom and with them, that this building symbolizes and that the day symbolizes. Freedom is for everyone.
But for a time, it wasn't.
It's a door of no return, because they said if you got there, you know you wasn't coming back. We have to keep fighting, because somebody will try to keep us down, but we have to keep fighting.
Change starts here.
There is so much that is working against freedom and against knowing the full and complete history of this country.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
And Aiken, Alyssa Lyons on your side.
And again, this celebration is going on all week long. The Center for African American History, Art, and Culture, along with the City of Aiken, plan to cap off their Juneteenth celebration Saturday at Founders Park. And you can find out more again on our website, WRDW.com. Well, there's a line from the famous MLK speech that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. And that's exactly what happened over the weekend at the home of Alexander Hamilton Stevens, the Vice President of the Confederacy. Sidney Hood was there at Liberty Hall.
Through the quietness of downtown Crawfordville,
and they'll know we are Christians.
Sounds of music echoed, followed by a prayer.
And to love our fellow human beings as ourselves. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Embracing unity.
How very good and pleasant it is when kindred live together in unity.
We have chosen to be a family, and we've chosen to spread that hope that we have for all people to come together in love.
Love once deemed impossible is now possible.
We embraced each other. They were very welcoming to us. We were very welcoming to them. It was just a real time of fellowship.
On the lawn where history lives deep within the Georgia red clay.
The stories that their family tells that we know are true stories about what happened under the system of slavery. And we wanted to be here to acknowledge that and recognize that.
Doing so by naming
You purchased us as property.
And forgiving the sins.
Peace be with you.
And I really would just hope that we could continue to have more honest conversations about what the system actually was for the people that participated in it on both sides of it.
That's the idea.
In a lot of senses in terms of a reconciliation and an acknowledgement of hurtful things that were done in the past.
Given hope for the future.
It's promising to think about what that could lead to if it happened more often and on a larger scale.
It starts when one hand joins another.
It's good, it's always good to love and to extend a hand. You know, it may be slapped the first time, but leave it out there and one day it will be embraced.
Again, Sydney Hood reporting for us there. It really was amazing to see the two families coming together as one, and what a perfect way to kick off the Juneteenth celebrations there. And you could really just feel that sense of history out there. Okay, yep, fire crews are responding to a house fire on Dunbar Street in Warrenville last night. Crews got there around 10:20 p.m. They say there are no injuries or other homes in danger. An update to a shooting, an officer-involved shooting in McCormick County over the weekend. This is the first one of the year for the sheriff's office. SLED says deputies responded to a 911 call about a suspicious person just before 8 o'clock. Agents say the 20-year-old Obed Barba shot at one of their deputies, and the deputy fired back. Barba died at the scene from his injuries. The deputy went to the hospital, but SLED says he should make a full recovery. Lincoln County deputies are searching for two suspects connected to a Father's Day shooting. 21-year-old Antavius Brown and 29-year-old Antravius Brown are wanted for aggravated assault, possession of a gun, and more. Deputies got the call around 8:50 Sunday for shots fired at a home on Fire Tower Road. They found the victim with at least one gunshot wound. The victim is stable. Deputies believe both Browns drove away in a gray Ford. If you see them, call the sheriff's office. Richmond County deputies say 3 people are hurt after a shooting off Wheeler Road. They say it happened right outside Toasties restaurant around 11 o'clock yesterday. Deputies say a passenger with 2 other people got in the parking lot. A passenger in a silver sedan, got in a fight with 2 people in the parking lot. They started shooting at each other, and then deputies say 2 people were shot at least once and ran away to Hazel Street. They later found a passenger of the sedan, took themselves to the hospital for a gunshot wound as well. We're still working to find out details about any arrests. An 18-year-old is arrested in connection to a murder case. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office tells us Vinston Moultrie was arrested yesterday. He's also facing an aggravated assault charge and weapons charges. We're working to learn what case Moultrie has been charged in. The family of a sexual assault victim who died by suicide says they're no longer keeping quiet about her case. Dallas Stoller was one of the Bowen Turner alleged victims. The Orangeburg County man's accused of raping 3 teens in 2018 and 2019. Court documents show he violated house arrest more than 50 times to go to golf courses, restaurants, even across state lines. Stoller died by suicide in 2021 after her family says she was bullied following the assault. They say prosecutors dropped the case because she wasn't alive to testify. Then they went silent. They say the solicitor's office told them they would only reopen the investigation if the family got rid of all the attention and pressure. Now they feel like they've been quiet for too long.
I have this gun to my head that's like, if you don't do this, you know, there's no possible chance whatsoever. And it's been a real struggle for me and my family, and I think everybody, to kind of just sit back and be quiet and let this happen, and really putting your hope and trust in a system that has done nothing but prove that they don't deserve the trust.
Stoller and the other victims' stories cause outrage both regionally and nationally. Her family says they should have never stayed quiet. Every day this week, we are tracking the risk for flooding across the area. Wednesday is a higher risk than most. Our Taylor Martin talked to the Savannah Riverkeeper about ways to stay weather aware as we move into the summer season.
1 inch of standing water is all it takes to make your car float.
People definitely should expect for low-lying areas for
for their car to either get submerged, which would create a real emergent situation, or their car to float away off the road.
And according to First Alert meteorologist Mikhail Hannah-Harding, we can expect up to 4 inches in the next few days.
And we could have isolated locations that do pick up higher totals over 4 inches.
Is why when heavy rain comes, Truck Carlson with Savannah Riverkeeper says it's best to avoid those low-lying areas like downtown Augusta, especially when water is drained from Clarks Hill.
He says, unfortunately, that affects downtown so often. I mean, it's a tale of two cities. It really is.
And when you're driving, Mikkel says, turn around, don't drown.
Never try to drive through floodwaters because you can't see what's beneath them. The road could be completely washed out, could be electricity flowing through that water.
For those who live in flood-prone areas, prepare ahead of time to avoid water getting into your home or car.
Even parking in the middle of Broad Street versus those spots that are off to the side, closer towards the sidewalk where you have a dip where that sidewalk curb meets the road. If you do live in a flood-prone or low-lying area, you can prepare by maybe having sandbags or sand, gravel to line your doorways.
In Augusta, Taylor Martin on your side.
And you can always stay weather aware with our First Alert weather app, or you can visit our website where we have your forecast timed out hour by hour to keep you up to date. In North Augusta, City Council reviews plans for the 177-acre development called The Hive. The first reading for that plan went before Council last week. Neighbors are worried about the traffic and noise issues there. Council says their hands are tied. They did look at changing some other parts of the plan, including buffer zones like trees and fencing, and council members vote on approving the changes made to that plan. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, 2024 GOP presidential candidate. He will be in North Augusta this Thursday, going to be at the Riverview Activity Center, Riverview Park. I believe it's 2 to 4, I think is the time on that. All right, let's move on a little bit of state news here in South Carolina. Some South Carolina lawmakers are calling a recent federal court ruling a victory for free speech. As State House reporter Mary Green explains, others fear it could have grave consequences on how much dark money can flow into elections.
This ruling stems from a lawsuit brought earlier this year by the ultra-conservative South Carolina Freedom Caucus. It could have major implications for what goes on here at the State House and in South Carolina elections for years to come.
The ability for dark money to come pouring into this state has now been blasted wide open.
Under state law, there are 4 legislative caucuses, or groups of lawmakers. These caucuses have certain privileges, like campaigning and fundraising as a group, but they still have to comply with strict rules, like disclosing who's a member and who's donating to them. There are more than a dozen other groups at the State House known as special interest caucuses, including the South Carolina Freedom Caucus. These are just some examples. While these groups of lawmakers can meet and vote together, they were barred from any activity as a group that would influence the outcome of an election or ballot measure, like fundraising and campaigning. Lawmakers who violated that part of state ethics law could face prison time or a fine. Earlier this year, the South Carolina Freedom Caucus sued in federal court, alleging this law violates their constitutional rights to free speech and equal protection. A federal judge recently ruled in the Freedom Caucus's favor and permanently blocked the enforcement of this part of South Carolina ethics law.
We did not ask to be treated any differently. We simply asked to be put on the same footing, and that's exactly what this judge did.
The lawsuit was filed against the House Ethics Committee, the group responsible for enforcing the ethics law. The committee held a meeting Monday to get an overview of the ruling from its lawyer, who says the implications are unclear at this point. But some members say while the judge intended for the special interest caucuses to be allowed the same privileges and operate under the same rules as the 4 legislative caucuses, only the General Assembly can rewrite the law to enforce this. The legislature is out of session right now, so ethics committee members argue that until they're back in session and can change the law, this means the Freedom Caucus or any other special interest caucus a lawmaker wants to form doesn't have to follow these ethics rules.
What is clear is that this does blow a hole, as was previously stated, in the law of South Carolina as it relates to dark money and money coming in. When 2 members of the General Assembly can get together and take cash donations in unlimited amounts and spend that in any way they see fit, that's a problem that anyone should see.
The House Ethics Committee has about a month to decide what it'll do next, with options including appealing to a higher federal court. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
The Freedom Caucus says it's already started the process of setting up bank accounts with these new fundraising and campaigning abilities. We're learning more about the case of a 19-year-old found dead along a rural Hampton County road in 2015. Stephen Smith's death was initially ruled a hit and run, but in March, SLED said it was adding more resources to the case and is now investigating it as a homicide. Nick Neville has the latest.
An 8-year-old cold case in the Low Country may be heating up. Questions have lingered about the death of Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old former classmate of Buster Murdaugh, since his body was discovered along a Hampton County road in 2015. Smith family attorney Eric Bland says SLED, which is leading the investigation, is getting results, with SLED chief Mark Keel telling him this.
Look, Eric, I am positive. I am optimistic in a positive way. I see progress being made, real progress. We think that, we've talked to a number of people, and we think that there's 5 or 6 people that have information. We've learned some things that we didn't know already, he told me.
Bland also says he has reason to believe that the Attorney General's office has impaneled the state grand jury in this case and is issuing subpoenas. The Attorney General's office did not respond to my request for comment. This all comes after the family moved forward with a second autopsy of Stephen's body a few months back.
We were comforted by the fact that even though the vault was compromised and water got into the coffin, that even after 8 years, the autopsy was able to be performed with aplomb, and everything that they wanted to find out, they were able to find out.
As authorities are taking a closer look at the case, Stephen's mother, Sandy, has just one objective, Bland tells me.
Sandy Smith is not looking for somebody to be charged with Stephen's murder. She's just a mother who wants to know what happened to her son. And I think she's going to get answers.
A SLED spokesperson has declined to comment further about the case. Bland anticipates by Labor Day the state will publicly outline its theory about what happened to Smith. Presidential candidate and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley held a town hall meeting in Berkeley County yesterday. It's been just a few days since she hugged her husband as he deployed to Africa for a year with the Army National Guard. During her speech, she talked about her plans to address safety at the border and raise concerns over the country's national identity. She says she's taking an approach similar to when she was governor.
So that's a lot of bad, right? It's hard to see anything good. But now I'm going to tell you what I told South Carolinians when I became governor. No more whining. No more complaining. Now we get to work.
Haley's next stop will be in New Hampshire, June 27th. And then again, like I mentioned, Ron DeSantis is going to be in our area on Thursday. A desperate search is underway for a submarine that disappeared while taking 5 people to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean to see the Titanic shipwreck. The submarine is about the size of a minivan and carries enough oxygen for about 4 days. As CBS correspondent Naomi Ruckham reports, the last communication from the vessel was yesterday morning.
A rescue mission is underway in the Atlantic Ocean for a small submarine carrying 5 people after it went missing during an expedition to explore the wreckage of the Titanic. The U.S. Coast Guard is conducting searches by sea and air and teaming up with Canadian authorities after the vessel was reported overdue on Sunday night.
The location of the search is approximately 900 miles east of Cape Cod. It is a challenge to conduct a search in that remote area.
In a statement, the tour operator, OceanGate Expeditions, said it is working with several government agencies and deep-sea companies to reestablish contact with a submersible and working toward the safe return of the crew members.
On that sub at this moment are the pilot, a scientist, and 3 paying passengers. What concerns me is this thing has 7 different ways of returning to the surface. It has different kinds of ballast it can let go. It has an inflatable air bladder. It has propellers. So why isn't it at the surface?
CBS Sunday Morning's David Pogue spoke with OceanGate CEO last year about the design of the submersible called Titan.
Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
The search is located about 720 miles from Halifax, Nova Scotia, where the Titanic wreckage sits some 13,000 feet below the surface. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Among the 5 people on board is explorer and British billionaire Hamish Harding. Passengers paid $250,000 for this experience. The expedition was OceanGate's 3rd voyage. As we're watching the rain move through our area, we're getting a look at how quickly rising water can turn dangerous. Here's some video from near Pensacola, Florida. A deputy pulls over to help a man trapped in rising water. Deputies say he found the man while patrolling through heavy rain and lightning, and just as he went underwater, both of them almost got sucked down into a drain during the rescue. It's kind of hard to see, but it's about 30 seconds later they pop up for air.
David, can you believe what just happened to us?
Let's move on to sports now. Summer camps are in full swing, and we've got local kids learning skills from a legendary head basketball coach. Dan Booth caught up with kids at the Demetris Basketball Academy.
Good morning, everyone. Summer camps are in full swing, and some of our local kids are getting the chance of a lifetime by learning the game of basketball from a legendary head coach.
Have you crossed anybody up yet?
One.
Are you looking forward to crossing somebody up?
Oh, yes.
The 22nd annual Demetris Basketball Academy is underway, and kids from 6 to 17 are learning a thing or two about the game of basketball.
It's so cool how I get to meet the players and play with them.
We're at a college gym, being taught by college coaches, or like players used to go here.
It's a pretty much all basketball camp. We feed them. But we're not watching movies, we're not going swimming, we're doing basketball.
Whether they've been playing ball for years or learning the game for the first time, it's a great opportunity for everyone involved.
The games that we do, hot shot, knockout, and definitely the 5-on-5s. That's my favorite part is the 5-on-5.
What's the best thing you've done so far?
Knockout.
Okay, all right, cool. Did you win?
No. I was close.
It's kind of funny to see kids that I used to be in their shoes and kind of know what they were going through at these camps and all that kind of stuff, and kind of the nervousness that you get playing with people that you don't know.
Getting the chance to learn from a college coach and his former players while playing against better competition can help these young ballers grow their games in more ways than one.
It's really valuable. The fact that I get to get out here and showcase my skills is really important to me.
Being able to play against older people who are way better, for example, like him and like a couple of the other people down there, it helps a lot.
It's extremely valuable, especially to learn from a college coach to help you expand your skills in your game to help you go on to the next level.
It's camps like this that make sports fun to learn and have the power to hand down the love for the game to the next generation, one pass, dribble, and shot at a time.
I learned a long time ago as a coach, if I couldn't dunk, we'd give out stuff. So at the end, we're giving out stuff for free throws. And like I said, just make them have a good time and fall in love with the game. It's meant a lot.
And that is why Coach is a legend. Now, it's going to be a fun week for all those campers. The 22nd annual Demetris Basketball Academy continues through Thursday at Christenberry Fieldhouse. That's it for sports. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, thanks, Dan. And in Thompson, a woman is raising Scottish Highland cows, better known as mini cows. She's one of only a few in the area to do it. And our Will Volk visited the farm to discover they're not just cute, but they are therapeutic, too.
It's okay.
Vanessa Crawford spends a lot of time with these cows.
It's every day. It's 7 days a week for us.
For about 2 years, she's been taking care of them with her family.
During COVID, we discovered miniature Scottish Highland cattle, and I personally fell in love with them.
So they made the decision to convert their land into a cow farm.
These cows can be great milk producers. They provide excellent beef, and in addition, they're also great when folks have smaller children on their farm.
She says Scottish Highland cows' personalities and shaggy coats make them popular with kids. Crawford is also a psychotherapist, and she uses these cows in her sessions.
What I discovered is incorporating animals into my practice was something that allows, especially like my younger clients, to open up easier to me.
As they prepare to start selling them to the community, Crawford says this whole experience has been worth it. She thinks they've been good for her kids.
We love it. I think it's a bonding piece for our family as well.
In Thompson, Will Volt on your side.
And Crawford plans to continue raising the cute cows, up to 15 at a time. If you're interested in visiting the farm, we've got contact information up on our website, WRDW.com. It's also where you can find out about these stories and many, many more across the area. Be sure to download our WRDW streaming app, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Told you it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode this morning, but I'll be back a little bit later on after the morning mix for some more News 12 Now. See you back here.